This video is going to very quickly, in 8 minutes, show you 4 basic app features which are shown in many different apps, and it's very handy to know. So as always, we're going to start off with a single view application, which is always handy for your prototype. Make sure you give your product a good name, you have your organization identifier, and we don't need any of the core data or UI tests or other tests. Okay, make sure you save it somewhere important. You don't need a Git repository, but I've left it on just in case. Okay, so then when we start up with our new project, we've got our assets, our main storyboard, and our view controller.swift, which are the main areas which we do our work in. So the first feature I'm going to show you is auto-resizing. Okay, so click on your main storyboard, and then once that loads up, okay, we've got our view here. So all of our different devices have different sizes. So we need to make sure that when we add things, that we set constraints to them. So I clicked on my object library. I'm just going to add in an image view. And then from my assets, I'm going to add in an image. I have a messy desktop there. Okay, so put in my background image. Okay, now it's inside my assets. When I go back to my image view, from my properties panel, I'll be able to select the background image. Okay, and obviously as a background image, we want this to be filled to the entire width of the image view. I can select my image view and I want to stretch this out to the entire width of my device. Okay, so now I'm going to select my assistant editor, which is a little Venn diagram thing, and go to, instead of automatic, I want to go to preview and select the device. This will allow me to see what my storyboard looks like in different devices. Okay, so currently showing my current device, which was the default, and then I want to go to the add button at the bottom, and I can choose all the different devices which I have in my preview. Okay, so I'm going to select an iPad Pro, and from here we can see that my image view isn't stretching to the entire width dependent on the different devices. Okay, so I need to select my image view, get my little ruler icon there, and then I can click on these little icons, little TIE fighters from Star Wars, and click on those. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the arrows as well, and you can see the little animation on the right hand. It shows you how it stretches, and now I can see that on all devices it'll stretch to the full width. Okay, so feature number 2 is stack views. So stack views can be vertical or they can be horizontal. So I'm just going to add in a button. Okay, and basically stack views are used to group things. So if I add in multiple buttons, so select the button, change the property to my button. So again, I've added this graphic into my assets. Okay, make my text color different. Okay, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this. 2 and 3. Okay, so if I was to have these buttons, I need to add constraints for each of them, and each of the constraints will get a bit more complicated. So what I can do is to add in a stack view, again from my asset object library, then a vertical stack view. Okay, I can add my buttons to this stack view just by dragging them in. Okay, and then if I select my outside stack view, I can arrange and add the constraints directly to that view. This will ensure that my buttons always sit in the middle of my screen. So click on your little ruler, go to your constraints again like we did in the previous. Okay, and see where we want it to sit. So if we just want it to sit top to bottom, or we want it to sit based on the edge. And there we have it. So the third feature is segues. So they're called segues. You think about a radio show when you have a transition between segments, it's called a segue. So I'm going to go into my object library. I find a view controller and drag that on. So this is like a second screen for my app. Okay, and I want to make a link between those two. Okay, so I'm going to click on my button. I'm going to control and drag, and you can see the little arrow linking the two. And as I let go, I want to click show. Okay, this will allow my Segway to show my next view controller. Of course, then we need to have some navigation to get back, so I'm going to grab a new button, drag it onto my second view controller, and rename this as back, and do the exact same thing. Click on it, control and drag, to zoom in a little bit, control and drag, and then release and show. Okay, and this will allow me to go back to my previous view controller. So if I run this, my simulator will boot up. Okay, so if I click on my button, it will show my new view controller. Click back and it'll go back. And the next feature I'm going to show you is a tab view controller. So again, it's inside my object library. These tab view controllers are often embedded in navigation controllers, but we'll tackle that in another video. So I scroll down, tab bar controller, okay, drag that onto my screen. A little bit of rearranging maybe need to be done. You can zoom in and out to make that a little bit easier. Just grab from the top and move it around. You can see these segues are already created. They've already got relationships between the different controllers. Okay, and I want to link my second view controller to my new tab view controller. So again, let's add in another button. Zoom in, control, let's call this two tabs, control and drag. Oops. Control and drag to my tab view controller. I want to go show. Cool, so now I've got a relationship between those two view controllers. Accidentally copy and pasted that. Okay. And then I'm going to add a navigation bar. Again, if this is in a navigation controller, it may work a little bit more cleanly. This is just to show you what the tab view controller can do and build in those existing relationships. So I'm adding in two navigation titles, just so we know which screen we're actually on. Otherwise it's a bit difficult once we preview it. Okay, again, I'm going to run my project. Okay, and I'll load it up, and if your button isn't showing, just remember you need to add constraints. I'll just do this very quickly. I can select between on different tabs. So again, I can add icons to these as well, but it's just a very quick demo.